Thanks a lot for staying with us. It's time now to take a look at stories making headlines on Nigerian newspapers. This morning, we have a host of them right here with us in the studio, beginning with the Nation newspapers. Now, we've already reflected this earlier during the news, the directive or the position of President Muhammadu Buhari to Nigerians ahead of the forthcoming general election. Well, he says, he's quoted as saying, "I will not interfere in next year's polls." And on the sidelines of that, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo is also said to have challenged governors on the state of the economy and the lingering as a strike. All this and more in the Nation newspaper this Wednesday morning. Let's check out Blueprint next. President Buhari to APC governors and Nigerians, reiterating, or the paper reiterates his position that he will not interfere in the 2023 election. That's also on the Blueprint. And next is First News, still on President Buhari's position, saying here, "Will resist money bag politicians plan to rig 2023 election." Says we will not allow anyone to use personal resources to influence or intimidate electorate. That's on First News. Let's go to this Nigerian now. "Count me out of rigging," says President Buhari, tells APC governors. "People's votes must count. Count me out of rigging," says President Buhari ahead of the general election, says people's vote must count. And now to the Vanguard. Away from the president's meeting with governors on Tuesday, there is said to be disquiet in the PDP over Wike's preferred candidate remarks. His comments put Atiku, that's the party's presidential flag bearer, on edge. That's according to a source. And there's also a further rider that explains why party cannot sanction Wike for anti-party activities. This and more on the Vanguard. And finally, with me is the Punch. The big story there is on the indefinite ASU strike. Federal government summons varsity councils, I should say, as well as vice chancellors, as parents grumble. The National University Commission is also said to be meeting pro-chancellors to review actions and reach a consensus. This on the Punch. Mike.
Yeah, all right. Now we have Daily Sun is where I start from, and it's also lending credence to the ASU story. It says governors offer to take over negotiation with ASU, a move to end industrial action as federal government summons pro and vice chancellors. That's what you see on the front page of the Daily Sun. From there, let's go now away from ASU issues. Let's go to Leadership newspaper. It says federal government moves to avert agony of subsidy, ends fuel importation next year. All right, federal government moves to avert agony of subsidy and fuel importation next year. That's that. And then let's go to Daily Trust. Daily Trust says Nigeria will stop importing oil by 2023. That's the Kyari of the NNPC saying this. Signs 20 years supply deal with Dangote. Okay, that's what the Daily Trust has. Moving now to Daily Times. Daily Times says Nigeria to end fuel importation mid next year. Kyari says churches and mosques used in hiding stolen oil. Right, that's what Daily Times has there. The Nigerian Tribune is next. And it says stolen crude oil stored in churches, mosques. Mele Kyari saying this. Mele Kyari saying this, of the NNPC, says that importation of petroleum products ceases by mid-2023. All right, from there, let's go to Nature News and World Toilet Day. Federal government highlights action plan to end open defecation by 2025. All right, World Toilet Day, I think it comes in November, and this is like an action plan towards it. From there, let's go to News Direct. News Direct says airlines owe NCAA and FAN 42 billion naira and $7.8 million. Well, as NCAA threatens to withdraw certificates of defaulting airlines. All that on the front page of News Direct. Now let's go to the Guardian newspaper. Guardian says after 14.6 billion naira, Nigeria Air misses fifth takeoff amid investors' apathy. Concerns as Nigeria Air gobs 14.6 billion naira in 4 years, under 5% government equity. Right? I wonder if this, all right, this is a concern to Nigerians. But let's go to the last one now is Business Day. And it says to curb oil theft, NNPC adopts Saudi Aramco's model. To curb oil theft, NNPC adopts Saudi Aramco's model. All right, that's what Business Day has. And that's the last one from me right now.
Well, interesting splash of stories there. First with the president's meeting with some governors. We talked about that earlier on the news. And it's also interesting that, many or some papers are riding with that. It's serving as a headline for many. The president's stance that he will not stand for violence, for rigging, saying the people's votes must count. And he also alluded to off-season elections that just ended recently, especially Osun State. We saw it was an upset for the ruling party, the APC in the state, and now power will change hands. Senator Adeleke won the election, even though there is an appeal on that going on. Of course, even in Ekiti State as well, we've also seen a semblance of that. And the president saying now that he will not allow anyone use personal resources to influence or intimidate electorate. If one recalls or if one reviews the president's stance towards election, that appears to be pretty much his body language.
Yeah, the point there is we must commend President Buhari on one hand when it comes to not interfering in political party elections and all of that. We have seen he has shown it over and over again by not being involved. However, some persons will criticize that not being involved. It shows as if he's not interested. Of course, one would not say the president is not interested, but interfering in the process, we must commend the president for not interfering in the process of elections in Nigeria. However, how much interest should he show? Of course, the president can campaign for his candidate, for the candidate of his political party. He's done anywhere, he's allowed anywhere. But however, meddling in the process, we must commend him because, when we talk about entrenching democracy, there has to be freedom of expression of your vote the way you want it, where no one is influencing. The only thing that should influence you is the campaign or the promises or the manifesto of the political party as fronted by the candidate. Anything apart from that, it should be interpersonal influence. If you are my friend and I'm going to vote for a certain political candidate or party, I should be able to woo you by letting you know why it is better for this party or for the other party. That should be the only way. So these are the things that should strengthen democracy in our country. And the president not interfering gives room for that. Any political party, go out there to the field, slug it out with the other ones, so long as you're acting according to the rules.
Because I recall in the Oyetola Adeleke example, said one of the first congratulations came from the president.
That's it.
To himself,
That's it.
to a member of the opposition.
Yeah.
And of course, many rode with that. The PDP even had to applaud the move of the president, saying it was novel. I think moving forward, I agree that we should get to that point of maturity generally.
We've seen in the early 2000s where federal government will bring its might because he wants to win election by all means, and this is our political party, and we must. Those days are gone. If we're talking about democracy and it should work the way it should be, then we should have a situation where if we have two major political parties or three major political parties, because of them trying to outwit each other and all of them trying to front what is best for Nigeria, we shouldn't determine what it shouldn't be too quick to decide or to determine which political party is going to win the election, because in democracy, anything can happen, right? So when you create a level playing field, allow the people, allow the process run itself. In fact, over the years, we've seen INEC is really upping its game at every election. You see how INEC is, ensuring that one election after the other is becoming better, is becoming more refined, and so on.
Even where you have a winning template, it still needs to be tweaked.
So there is no perfect system anywhere in the world. We know that. But the point there is, we need to, at every election, like you mentioned, the off-season election, there are opportunities to experiment new things. We're introducing, for instance, in Osun State was the first time where there was the deliberate or intentional move to create room for people with disability, to be part of the system.
Right.
So that's how it should be until we get to the level where diasporans are voting from outside Nigeria, and then we have a situation where we mustn't have all the election in one day. General election.
And that is also even crucial now. How systems need to be upgraded. We were talking about persons living with disabilities. There was also the use and opportunities that you can harness where you use more and more of technology for elections of this nature. Well, off-season elections have now been concluded, and now the general elections are upon us. It's going to be a test indeed on INEC's capacity, and of course there are projections even beyond. People in the diaspora may not get to vote now, but of course the interest is intensified now.
We look forward to the time where they can vote, journalists can vote, security agents can vote, because these are all people, they don't vote at elections, because on the election day they are all busy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.